Hello guys, in this video I'll be showing you how to use QML element and modules to access backend CPP files in QML files, right? In the earlier videos I showed you how to use context property and QML register type, QML singleton register type, right? But this is the QML6 way of doing this thing, right? To interact with CPP files and QML files, like to interact with backend from QML, from the UI. So let's get started, right? First of all, I created a project called my test project and basic application, like let's run the application once and see the output is a basic plain window. So first of all, let's add a CPP class, add a C++ class called backend helper, and we use the inherit from QObject base class and add QML element. This is necessary to expose it to QML, right? To make it accessible to QML. Click on finish. Let the application load, and yeah, as you can see, the header files are added, right? And it has a macro called QML element. This helps us expose this class to the CPP to the QML file. So we can use member variables from this class in QML, right? So we can say text and then access the value from that. So let's first learn about Q property. So there's something called Q property, right? If you know what variables are, this is exactly that, but we can access this variable in QML file, right? Also, we can update this variable directly from QML, and we can also like notify QML when the value of this variable changes, right? Let's see. First is the type, and then is the name. I will call this my number, and be careful with this one. Like this set after that, my has to be caps. Obviously, that's a good practice, right? Now right click over here, refactor, generate missing Q property members. So all the methods are generated for you. So basically, if you see, this is a variable and we can access this variable from the QML. So initially the value is set to 0 because it's a class variable, right? But let's go to the constructor and set the variable's value to 42, and later we'll update this value, right? Now let's use this in QML. So the class name is backend helper. So in QML, I'll add a text property field, and it will be the center of the parent, and anchors dot center in parent, font size of 15, and the text will be backend helper dot my number, where my number is the variable, this one, this Q property variable, right? This is how I access this my number, and let's see if it works. Obviously it won't work, right? Because if you see, this is yellowed out, it won't be able to find backend helper. Yeah, so for that we have to import the module. Now what is a module? If you open the cmake text file, you will see Q add QML module, this application name, and URI my test project. This URI is exactly what is called a module, and all the files, be it the QML file or be it CPP source files, all of these files are bundled together in this module. So if you import this module, you will be able to access all of these files, right? So how to import this module? You can see there is a version 1.0. So I'll simply go over here and say import module name 1.0, and you can open this 1.0, and you can open this 1.0 because in Qt6 we directly import the latest version available, which is 1.0. It looks good, right? So now if you see, this was yellowed out, but now it's green. So but still there is a problem here. I'll show you what that is. Let's run the application once and see. Yeah, as you can see, unable to assign a defined because you have created a class but there is no object. So first of all, you have to create an object of a class to access the variable method. So what I have to do is I have to create a component, give it some ID, let's say my backend helper, and now I can access this object through this like ID, right? Now if you run the application, you can see we got the value 42. I hope it's visible. Let's increase the font size to 20. Excuse me. and let's change the value, right? So instead of text, let's add a column, and this column will be in the center, and let's give it a spacing of, let's say, 20, and format it. Below the text, I will add a button to increase the value. So for button you have to import Qt quick controls. I hope you remember. And I will use the material, right? So the button has a text of, let's say, increase, right? And on clicked, we will increase the value. So we'll say my backend helper dot my number plus equals 5. So whatever the value is, it will be increased by 5 points. Let's run the application once. And obviously this is not aligned properly, right? So for that you have to say anchors dot, I hope you remember how to align both of them properly, horizontal center, parent dot horizontal center, same for the button. Okay, yeah. Now let's see. Yeah, now if you click on increase, you see the value is increasing by 5 points, right? So this was one way of creating an object and then using it, but I want to directly use this, right? Instead of creating an object unnecessarily, right? So what for that we have to use singleton. We have to make the class singleton. If you make a class singleton, it will only have one object globally. So for that you have to define QML singleton macro. Let's run the application once, and if you increase the value, it works properly. But what we have done is we have directly used the backend helper class because it's a singleton, so we can directly access it, right, like this. Now this was for CPP and QML interaction. Let's go a bit further and let's add a new QML file which is in an other directory. So Qt QML file, let's call it globals, forget the caps, globals slash theme dot QML. You can omit the QML dot. Yep. Now let's make the code neat and add here, right? Okay, my PC is a bit slow. I have to run CMake again. Yeah, as you can see, globals theme.qml folder is added here, right? So instead of item, okay, let's go with item. Remove the versioning. We don't need that, right? Qt will always use the latest one in Qt6. Property int my value 100. Right. Let's create an integer property called my value and use this. So if you remove this and say theme dot my value, and here theme dot my value plus equals 5, you'll see you are getting yellow, so it cannot find theme. Let's run the application once and see. Yeah, as you can see, there is cannot unable to assign undefined to QString, and if you click on plus, you will not see anything, right? So how to fix this? So you can see main. Okay, let me shrink all of these. You can see main is in the same like for directory as globals header and source, but theme is inside globals. So for that you have to import the globals directory, right? Now if you see theme is like grayed out, so it could find theme. So it's the color of a component. Globals no such directory. Okay, G has to be capital. Be sure to correctly. Yeah, undefined to QString. Why? It has my value, right? Okay, so it's an item. Let's make it cute object. Okay, something's wrong. Theme. Okay, my bad. Because theme is also a QML component, and we have to create an object here. My bad. Everyone makes mistakes, right? So you have to do this, create an object, and then use this. Again, the same issue, right? Now, as you can see, we can increase the value. Now, this was an item, right? It was an item, but I used Qt object. Why is that? Why should I not use an item? Let's say someday you need a property called int x. Now that's a problem, right? Because item by itself has xyz properties, right? You can see it has xyz properties. So when you try to modify this x, when you say theme.x, theme.x plus equals, you'll get a warning. See, cannot override final property because this x is already inside item. This item already has several properties like layer, parent, smooth, and it also has XYZ. That's why instead of item, always use Qt object when defining themes and other global stuff, right? So that you don't override any final property by mistake. Now if you run the application and you'll see there is no warning. Yeah. So that's that. But again here you see a problem. We are creating an object. We don't want that, right? Mostly. So we have to create a singleton for theme, right? So for that there is a flag called pragma singleton, pragma pragma singleton, right? This makes this QML files a singleton file, right? Still you will see a problem. Unable to assign undefined to QString because for QML files, although you have defined it as pragma singleton, you have to do an extra step. Before Qt add QML modules, you have to set source file properties here, not abstract, here. First, let's copy this file with the location, then set properties, then set Qt, QML, singleton, type, and set it to true. Now, if you run the application once, now as you can see, it's a singleton, and we can like perfectly use it. So anyway, this is a good practice. Like in theme, obviously you have dark theme or light theme, button text, right, or background color or something like that, right? So for that we have a global theme, and this is the actually good way of using it. So instead of this, I can directly remove this and use import my test projects. Actually, we cannot do that, like unless we use, unless we put this in QML files in this module. So always make sure by default we already like put all the QML files in this URI module. So you can use this by just directly importing this, right? So anyway, I hope you like this video. Thank you for watching. In this video, I'll be showing you how to like create an application and then deploy it using will deploy Qt or create a static exe file.